I'm going to make some cupcakes now, and we're going to start with a traditional batter. I'm going to be flavouring it with carrot and beetroot and honey and ginger. So let's start with the basic cupcake mix. 250 grams of caster sugar. That will go straight into our mix with 150 grams of softened butter. And I'll also add some vanilla essence. And now, just with the paddle on, whip this until it's really light and fluffy. Now that that's really creamy and that sugar is dissolved with the butter, we can add the eggs. Now this is 3 eggs. I'll wait for that to mix in and then I'll add a little bit more. We can start adding the flour. 2 cups of self-raising flour, so that's got some baking powder in it already. And I'm going to add about half of this at this stage, and then I'll add a little bit more later because I don't want all the flour to go everywhere. So let's place the paddle back into the mix on a really low speed. We're just going to combine that, fold in the flour, and then I'll add the remaining flour and some milk. So this is what we're looking for, a perfectly whipped cupcake mix there. And this is where it gets really interesting. I love the idea of doing this because if you're serving it to your friends, they've got a mixture, they've got a choice on what to have. And usually you wouldn't put vegetables, especially root vegetables, in a mix like this, but it is really fun. It actually gives it an extra flavour, an extra sweetness, and also an extra earthiness, especially from the beetroot mix. So our mixture needs to be cut into 3. So a third into one bowl, another third into a second bowl. And the last bit, we want to scrape out all of that batter into our third bowl. It's a little bit there. And we'll get the rest of it off that spatula. So we've got 3 equal amounts. Right, now let's start with the carrots. What I've done is just got 1 carrot, peeled it, cut it in half, and roast it until it's really, really soft, and then puree that. So 1 whole carrot, this is what it'll come to. You just want to place it into the mix and stir it in. So that's the first mix done. Let's get on to the beetroot. So a good spoonful of beetroot, a pinch of cocoa powder, and if you want to go all out, add some melted chocolate. This is just milk chocolate, but you could use dark chocolate for this. We'll get this spoon and again mix it, and watch this. Watch how this beetroot stains that classic cupcake mix. And last but definitely not least, some honey and ginger. These are almost like adult cupcakes where they're a little bit fun, a little bit interesting, a little bit different from the norm. Some ginger powder, and again, mix that in. And that, the smell of gingerbread. So I'm just going to clean down here, and we can start filling our cupcake muffins. Now this makes enough for 9 cupcakes. Now let's start over here. I'm going to fill the carrot cupcakes up first, and these are going to bake in the oven for about 30 minutes at 160 degrees. These cupcakes look, they've risen nicely. Look at the beetroot ones, they stand out like a sore thumb. And now we need to ice them. This is a really interesting icing. I'm using icing sugar, lots of it, about 300 grams, and some cottage cheese. I like to use cottage cheese because it really makes a light, fluffy icing. So we want to place that into a really large bowl like this one. And with a whisk, we just want to take out all the lumps. So give it a really, really good whisk. And then once you see that all of the lumps or majority of the lumps are gone, we're ready to add the butter. The butter needs to be soft. So this is just perfect. And again, we're whipping this. Perfect. And then the main ingredient to an icing is icing sugar. So light, fluffy icing, 300 grams. I'm just going to use a sieve here because we want it to be as light as possible, no lumps. So I'm going to sift this in and then whisk it again and then place it into a piping bag just like this so we get that perfect finish when piping it onto our cupcakes. Now the cupcakes are ready to be iced. The icing is in a piping bag. I'm just going to cut the bottom off there. We're just going to pipe that mixture straight in. There's so many different flavours going on here, from the carrot to the beetroot and chocolate to the ginger and the honey. The only problem with these are what to choose when you want to have a taste. I think I'll start with the ginger and the honey and then I'll move over to the beetroot.